Okay, so now let's talk about class. A class basically is a blueprint which defines the state and behavior common to all the objects of a certain kind. So one thing is class is not an object. The class basically defines what an object does. So in a way, class is a way to describe how to build the object of a certain kind. So if you have an object of type dog, then you define a class dog which defines that whenever you create an object of type dog, what is the behavior and the states of that object. So member functions are used to describe the behavior and variables are used to define the states in the class. And an object is created when a class is instantiated. This is very important. An object is not a class. An object gets created whenever you instantiate a class. So what does that mean? Let's look at some of the example. So this was our example. We had a car. It had a state, color, and make, and we had its behavior, start and stop. We want to convert this into a Java class. So when we do that, this is how the code will look like. So the object is class car. So basically we say that we create a class car. We define all the states of that object as variables in the class. So color and make, in this case we make int color and string make. We say color is a variable of type int, make is a variable of type string, and we define that as states within the class. So we make these variables within the class. And then what's the behavior? The car can start and a car can stop. So we make two functions or two methods within the car called start and stop. So now this defines the blueprint of the object car. So whenever you want something of the car, what this code tells us is that it's of the type class car, and that class has a behavior called color, and it has a state called color, and it has a state called make. And what is the behavior that you can do on those objects? You can start it or you can stop it. This is what the code describes. Let's move on to how do we create objects once we have a class. How do we create objects? So once you have a class, you can create objects in Java by using the new operator. So this is an example. So you can create, in this case I have a class called car. So I'm creating an object called my car, which is an object, by using new car. And what it does is it creates a new object of type car and assigns it to this reference my car. It creates a variable of type car, and now it references the object of type car. Now note here that my car is not an object, it is a variable of type car. And what it does is when you assign it to a new car, it references to a new object that got created. Let's look at this visually to understand, because yeah, I know it's a hard concept, but let's understand it. So in this case, I created a variable of my car, and the circle on or the ellipse on the other side, that's what is called the Java heap. So this is where the Java compiler creates and all the stores all the objects. You can think of this as where objects live and die. They get created and they die here. So how do they get created? So when I say new car, that statement, the Java compiler will then create a new object of type car. So it creates an object one of type car within the heap. And then there is an assignment operation. So I'm saying my car is equal to new car. So when it does that, my car gets referenced. So it points to this object called object of type car. So this is the way that now you have a variable my car which is referencing the object of type car. Let's look at another example. Now suppose I created another variable and assign it as follows. So car my car is equal to new car. This is the same as what we did before. But now I create another variable of type other car and assign it to my car. Now what happens? Does this create another new object? No, in this case it does not create new object because you have not said new car in the second statement. You have just assigned it to the previous car. So what it does is now both the variables are now referencing the same object. Let's look at it again, going back to our previous example. So the object 1 car was already created, and now both the variables my car and other car are pointing to the same object. So instead of doing that, had we done this, we would have created my car equal to new car and other car equal to new car. In this case, the compiler would have created two independent objects of type cars and would have reference or added reference to those to two independent variables of type my car and other car. So in this case, my car is pointing to one object and other car is pointing to a different object. So now we have two variables. So how does that look like? In this case, look on the ellipse. You can see that the compiler has created two objects, two independent objects, object 1, object 2. Both of them are of type car, but they are two independent objects. And reference our variable 1, which is my car, is referencing the object of type car 1, object 1, and the other car is referencing the object 2. So here's your second assignment. So the 5 objects you had thought of before with their behavior and state, convert them into Java code and then instantiate the objects and assign it to a reference variable. That's one. And second thing, in the following code, find out in which case new objects are created and which variables which variables are pointing to which objects and which variables are sharing the objects. If you can draw that, I think we'd like to see that. Thanks.